Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and I'm back after a nice refreshing break with Mrs. Hood, and I've got brown hands to show off. Cyprus, if you're interested, very nice indeed. Much better weather than we've got here. But anyway, enough of that. We've got to make some more progress in the Lego room. We did our lovely tables, but now I'm going to focus on the very back set of base plates around the edge, which are going to have the train tracks on. So it'll be all about the ballast system. But I need to do it a bit different than I did it last time, because of course we've got the two different radiuses of track now. The official Lego radius 40 studs and the TrixBrix radius 56 studs. So that is what I'm going to be doing and working out today. And a special thanks to those people that told me that the Intellect Devourer from the recent D&D line actually went on the minifigure's head. That bit totally passed me by on my review of those minifigures. So it is an absolutely awesome feature, as you can see. I think it might be a bit hungry after devouring Robin's intellect, though, because there isn't a lot to go around. But anyway, thanks very much for pointing that out. That is your bedoing. Cool, right, let's get started. Now, when it comes to attaching the Lego track to base plates and arranging beautiful ballast all in between all of the sleepers and so on, I decided to do my own system. And that was largely because all of the systems that I was aware of on the internet were really piece intensive and really expensive. Now, that's not to say mine isn't expensive. I'm still going to be using all of these bits of different sorts underneath my track, all hidden away, very hard to see. So it isn't a simple endeavor by any means to do this. You really want to work out how much it is for kind of one straight piece and then multiply it by your system. So yeah, it's very expensive whatever you do, but my system uses about a third of the pieces, in my opinion. And not only that, but it's very 3D. A lot of the official systems and even TrixBrix ballast pieces, which kind of slot in between all of the gaps in train track to kind of make a really long, uniform, flat, grey, featureless kind of sausage, I suppose, that you can put tiles on top of, but it's just so boring. What I do is much simpler, much cheaper, as I say, and much more 3D. Basically, just by putting 1 by whatever grey plates along each edge, and then a 2 by 4 periodically to line up with all the holes. When I push down a straight piece of track, it looks absolutely great because we've got the ballast pieces, or the little bits of rock in between the tracks, much lower than the actual sleepers themselves, which again is lower than the track. And I think that looks really good and is really interesting from all sorts of different angles without using too many pieces at all. So that is great. It's also really good for things like rail crossings. If you want to use these very broad slope pieces, they're 3 plates high. So effectively by putting that right up to there and then using grey tiles instead of the normal setup, you get a very smooth transition. So I really like that feature of it as well. Now, that doesn't mean that all of it is really simple, because we've also got these corners to contend with, and these ones are just ripped out from the old city. So I will be changing the outside one to a radius 52, as I said, radius 56. Yeah, that's right, radius 56. But this one shows a rather complete one that I did earlier. And essentially what I do for the corners is use tiles for that bottom layer instead of the plates. Then obviously the track, and again, the same sleepers. So it works really well, looks very uniform. And some people don't like the too wide sleepers. They think it looks a bit Toy Town, not to scale. Well, what are we doing here? We're making a Toy Town, aren't we? So I don't mind that at all. And I think it is made up for by the fact that we've got these lovely contrasts of colours. So that's all fine by me. But it isn't simple at all if you want to have ballast in between the gaps of all of this curved track, because, well, what we need to do is work out exactly, first of all, where we can have a stud aligning with one of the holes. Then secondly, if it will fit a 1 by 1 round light bluish grey plate on top, add that. And then thirdly, if there are some connection points that align perfectly with the underside of the track, i.e. in this sort of groove here underneath the actual rails, then put a stud there as well. So when we push it into position like that, you can push it down and it will actually attach and not wiggle around. So when we've got trains that might be very long or going very fast, you don't want the track moving under their influence. So that really holds them in place. And you'll see all the studs that are a bit too close to the sleepers haven't got a stud, and all those, well, the majority of them that are a bit further away have, and it just makes for a similar look as for the straight parts. So that is a really good system if you ask me. Now, it took me absolutely ages to work out the template I'd need for a radius 40 curve, and I can put that on screen now and show you that. There's sort of a color-coded key there if you want to work out what parts you need and in what number. So that took quite a long time, because the only way of doing it really is putting on the piece of track and then seeing what's available, trying it out and trying to put it back on and seeing if it will still fit. But now I have to do that whole enterprise again with our radius 56 track over there. So yeah, that's going to be really complicated. So that is what I'm going to work out first of all. And to add to the complication, I've got a few green base plates that have got some damage. This one has on the corner, and some have got some stress marks and so on, because I bought them second hand, and basically they were cheaper, saving money yet again. So essentially I'm going to try and use the damaged ones first in the far corner, and line up all the damaged bits with all the bits that are going to be covered up. So I'm trying to work out where the track's going to go, which ones I can use and which orientation, then try and work out my new system. So that is what I'm going to do, and I'm hoping it won't take all day. All right, here we are. So first of all, that tiny quarter base plate is temporary, but you can see on the bigger ones, I've got quite a lot of damage to conceal. There was some damage underneath here, which was the worst of it. A real big stress mark, and there's some little ones there, but I reckon that'll be covered up. There's some horrible sort of staining or, I don't know, sun damage in that corner, but I figure my space tower is probably going to cover that up in due course when it's really nice and big. We've got a great big area now for it in the corner. And yeah, I'm hoping that the continuation of this will cover up the majority of these sort of stress lines along there as well. It's all in the corner, so I figure it's the furthest bit away from our eyes, and there'll be so many obstacles in the way, I really don't think you'll see it. We can cover it up with vegetation indeed. So yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, I've done half of it. Now, the second half's going to be easy because it's just going to be a mirror version going back to here, of course. But it's taken a lot of trial and error to get to this place. So we've got the normal sort of track going into the radius 56 curve. Quite a lot of ballast I've managed to fit in the gaps in the middle and some on the outsides as well. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 connection points for each half underneath the track. So that should keep it nice and firm, I think. So if we try that, I've been lifting this off and back on again about 10,000 times to get to this point. But then when I've put it into my Lego Digital Designer, then basically I'll know what the template is, and I can just use that for all future iterations. So there we go, push that down, and it isn't moving, and it looks really good. It looks just as good as the radius 40 version, I think. So yeah, they're going to go together really well. Now, as for the positioning of this track, it's 8 studs away from this wall, which it always used to be when I had the deeper facades on here of all the skyscrapers and so on. But this time I've made the gap away from this wall also 8 studs. It was 4 last time, so that means that I'll be able to make a slightly deeper castle and deeper facades on that side, because the really, really paper thin ones were a bit basic. You couldn't even put a minifigure at the window or anything like that. So that's come out there, which means we've got much, much bigger area in the corner for something really significant. So that's going to be good. So I'm going to go to town on that. You give me loads of good suggestions as well. You know, like having the whole thing on a hill in the corner, having kind of a basement connection to the rail system. I really like that one. So it's sort of like a loading bay, because I reckon this will be the back of the building we're looking at. The front door will be right into the corner, but I'm going to have a full dome on the top, probably another floor, so it really lifts into that battle scene. And I'm definitely going to change the glass from trans light blue to trans clear, because I think you'll be able to see the scenes better. I want to make it wider as well and really fit into the corner, so you'll be able to see a lot more of these scenes that you've got on each of the floors, with the classic space floor, the old sort of a space exploration floor. Basically, there's one for each epoch of Lego space in there, so it's a real tribute building in a way. Yeah, so we'll have room for all of that, and then when I've done the second half of this and it's looking great, I'll be able to transplant that radius 41 onto here, and I'm going to have an 8 stud gap between that one and the next one, but only a 4 stud gap along this back wall, and that's because I need to really cram them in behind this row of modulars that we're going to do again, whereas on this side we want them 8 apart because they're going to have to dovetail with one of these big T-junction pieces from TrixBrix, so they need to have that regular gap. So that's going to look awesome. In fact, I'm going to have this same system that we're doing working out all of this pieces for all of my different switches and for these T-junction pieces in due course. I mean, that's going to take an absolute age, I'm sure, but it's going to look great. The great thing about my system is that it works with absolutely any combination of pieces if you've got time on your hands. Yeah, so that's great. So yes, it's going to be quite pushed together on that side as it was before, and this side we're going to gain another 4 studs which can go into the castle build and so on and make that even deeper, and yeah, we're going to have a lot more space for stuff in between the tracks if we want. Have to think about that. Ideas for that in the comments section as per usual. Good, so I'm happy with that. That has taken quite a while, but it is working, it is connected, it is looking good. So I'm going to finish the second half of that and then get a bit more base plate so we can put that radius 40 curve on the inside of it. 4 studs from that one, 8 studs from that. Yeah, measure twice, cut once. Yay, my first radius 56 ballasted track, and I think it looks really good. You can just imagine that getting chewed up by a locomotive. Poop poop. Very nice indeed. Right, now I need to get my radius 41 on the inside, and I'm going to use that one with the really damaged corner next, because I think if I put basically that there and then have this track starting here, it will completely cover up that damaged section. So we'll have that 8 stud gap in between the wall and the 2 pairs of tracks. So that will go off to the T-junction about there in the room, and then this one will be 4 studs apart, so those corners start at the same point. Those ones are slightly staggered, but it still looks good. You can still see the curves are different. In fact, it gives it a bit of interest that they aren't uniformly going around in the same rate, so I like that a great deal. It also strikes me that I've got an added benefit to my ballast system in that we've got a small cavity on the straight sections, at least underneath these pieces, and that means I can track some of the wires from all of my automation that I've currently got all over the floor that I have to keep stepping over in those sections. So, you know, yeah, most of it is going to have to run along straights, and then I suppose it'll have to dive down into a hole drilled into the table. But yeah, I'll be able to make some use of it, I think. Cool, so I have to work out next what base plates I kind of need here, and then I can transfer one of these kind of old ballast systems onto the new base plates so it's all in the right place. And then, well, we can slide it into the corner and have a good look. Sounds good. Ho 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 ho, yeah, that's looking good. Like it a lot. It's a really quite bright scene against all of that green. I would like to continue it on and do, well, the whole back stretch, but my fingers are sore and I've run out of time. If I'm going to get this video out on time, it's probably going to be late as it is, but that is a really good start. I've used a lot of the damaged base plates, covered up most of the evils, and worked out, most importantly, that radius 56 system, which, if you're interested, if you've got some TrixBrix radius 56 curves and you want to do this system, then this is the template that you need to use. So I'm saving you literally hours of work there. But yeah, that's the template that I've done for my own reasons as well, so I can just refer to it each time rather than starting anew. But that is looking good. So I say we finish off today by sliding that back into the corner, putting the space tower on top of it, which will be doubled in width and height and all the rest of it very soon. Well, I say very soon. I've got to buy all the parts for it. Got too many projects on. I need to focus on the knitting first, actually, so it won't be coming soon. I'm going to continue this out. Probably just a little bit further where we'll have a road going into the wall with a railway crossing and so on. And then a few more spaces for buildings before the same thing again. Another road going into the building. Into the wall rather, and then we'll have the racetrack that I said would be featuring in the new city coming out of one wall and into another, so that'll be kind of roped off from normal citizens of Brick Nottingham, and we'll have a bit of a street racetrack going on for a Grand Prix of some kind. and it will be ridiculous because it'll be going over railway crossings and things, which wouldn't really happen, but it's Lego, so it does happen here. So cool, yeah, let's get that in position, and I can admire my handiwork. Well, I do like that pushed into the corner. It's looking very nice indeed. It'll look even better when there's more of it and it's attached to everything else. But as I say, it's a good start. We've got the 8 wide gap in between them at this side and the 4 wide gap over there. The amount of times I had to check that to make sure I wasn't having to do it twice, because I think that would have just about finished me off today. It's really nice also having the green against the sky blue of the walls. That looks really good as well, doesn't it? So very nice indeed. I'm going to probably, well, I aspire to have facades absolutely thick and solid along both of these walls ultimately, so it really looks like the city goes on and on in every direction, and we'll only have space for the alien conquest drop pods to be landing at the bottom of that space tower, maybe smashing into one of those facade buildings, who knows, or maybe even one on this side of the track. That would be good. But yeah, all will become clear when we work it out a little bit further. So yeah, it doesn't feel like a huge amount of progress in a way, but working out that new ballast system for the curve was always going to take a long time, and it works and it looks good. I'm going to have to do it a few more times for all of the other sort of interesting TrixBrix pieces I've got, which I'm not looking forward to be honest. So I'll do loads of other things first before psyching myself up to do that. But yeah, that looks good. Very happy. You'll have to tell me what you think, if you like my ballast system, if you're planning to use it, or if you need any more information from me, but that looks very nice. I'm rather happy. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, well, we'll be doing a brick haul on our sister channel, Brick Haul O'Clock, for Wednesday. And then we'll be back here for goodness knows what. Maybe extending this train line out and getting a bit more of the old city from the old Lego room into at least a holding pattern here. That would be good. I don't think we can start too many new projects until we've got some of that transferred. I told Mrs. Hood I'd be out of that room by Christmas, which is already looking doubtful, so I better get a move on, hadn't I? Anyway, until all of that, see you! Yeah, stands out really well.